4 million years ago, Earth was a very different world. Vast forests, grasslands, and semi-arid plains stretched across Africa, a continent that would later be known as the cradle of humankind. In these landscapes, the earliest ancestors of modern humans began to take their first steps, literally and figuratively, into history. They were not yet human, but they were no longer ordinary apes. These were the Australopithecus afarensis, an ancient hominin that played a pivotal role in the story of evolution. Australopithecus afarensis stood little more than a meter tall, weighing between 30 and 40 kilograms. Their bodies were small but sturdy, built to survive in a challenging world. Their faces jutted forward with a low forehead, and their skulls held brains only about 400 to 500 cubic centimeters in size, just 1/3 the capacity of modern humans. Yet their skeletons reveal a remarkable adaptation. They walked upright on 2 legs. Bipedalism changed everything. To walk upright was not simply a new way of moving. It was a biological revolution. It freed their hands from the task of supporting their weight. With their hands liberated, they could grasp, hold, carry, and experiment with objects. It gave them a wider field of view across the open savannas, making it easier to spot predators and sources of food. And it allowed them to travel more efficiently across long distances in search of water and shelter. Their daily lives were shaped by the struggle for survival. Australopithecus afarensis were omnivores, eating whatever the land provided. They gathered fruits, nuts, roots, leaves, and occasionally small animals or insects. Their teeth, with thick enamel, were well adapted for grinding tough vegetation. While they did not yet create stone tools, fossil evidence suggests they may have opportunistically used sharp rocks or animal bones to crack open nuts or scrape meat from carcasses. But they lived in a dangerous world. Africa, 4 million years ago, was home to predators such as saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, crocodiles lurking in rivers, and early ancestors of lions. Australopithecus had no sharp claws, no massive fangs to fight back. Their defense was speed, agility, and above all, cooperation within the group. Archaeological evidence suggests they lived in small groups of 5 to 15 individuals. Living together offered protection and improved their chances of survival. One member could watch for danger, while others searched for food. Warning cries, hand gestures, or even the sound of stones being struck together may have served as primitive forms of communication. These were the earliest seeds of language. A typical day began at sunrise. As the first light spread across the savannah, the group descended from the safety of trees or emerged from rock shelters. They moved together in search of food, keeping a watchful eye on their surroundings. When opportunities arose, they could capture small prey, perhaps lizards, birds, or rodents, using only their hands and simple sticks. Though clumsy, such actions represented the very beginnings of coordinated hunting behavior. From a scientific perspective, these behaviors mattered far more than they might seem. Sharing food within the group reinforced social bonds. Protecting weaker members increased the survival rate of offspring. Over generations, those who cooperated were more likely to thrive. In this way, the building blocks of empathy, cooperation, and culture began to form. Climate played a major role in shaping their evolution. Sediment studies reveal that around 3 to 4 million years ago, Africa was undergoing climatic shifts. Forests gave way to more open grasslands. For Australopithecus, this meant leaving the relative safety of the trees and venturing onto the ground more frequently. Walking upright was no longer a mere adaptation, it became a necessity. Over time, those wobbly, uncertain steps evolved into a stable stride, setting the stage for everything that would follow. Their brains were still small, but their social intelligence was growing. They remembered safe paths, recognized seasonal changes in fruiting trees, and coordinated movements to avoid predators. They cared for their young for longer periods than most apes, nurturing bonds that extended beyond the immediate moment. Though primitive, these behaviors represent the dawn of human society. Every day was a cycle, foraging, resting, watching for danger, and moving with the seasons. They had no concept of history or future, no way to record their lives. And yet, through sheer persistence, they survived for millions of years. Their resilience laid the foundation upon which later hominins, such as Homo habilis and Homo erectus, would rise. Looking back, it is clear that this chapter of evolution was indispensable. Without those first upright steps, humans would never have walked on the moon. Without early cooperation against predators, there would be no great civilizations, no cities, no science. Every monumental achievement of humanity traces its roots to these small, fragile beings who lived on the African plains. But perhaps the most extraordinary legacy of Australopithecus afarensis is their role as a bridge between two worlds, the arboreal life of the trees and the terrestrial life of the savanna. Their curved fingers and powerful upper bodies show they still climbed trees for safety at night, yet their pelvis, legs, and feet were already adapted for life on the ground. They lived in both worlds at once, embodying a critical transition in evolution. This balance between tree and ground living demonstrates an important principle of evolution: adaptability. Species that can adjust to changing environments survive. Those that cannot vanish. Australopithecus endured for nearly 1 million years, a remarkable success in evolutionary terms. They were not the strongest or the smartest, but they were flexible, able to change their behavior, diet, and social structures in response to shifting climates and landscapes. Today, when we search for meaning in their fossilized footprints, we are reminded that our own species exists because of this flexibility. The resilience to adapt, the courage to venture into new environments, and the instinct to cooperate are not recent inventions. They are ancient legacies etched into our DNA by beings who lived and died millions of years before us. 4 million years ago, Australopithecus afarensis did not know they were starting a journey. They did not know they were shaping the destiny of a species. But today, we can look back and recognize the truth. Every civilization, every idea, every dream we cherish began with their survival, began with their courage to stand upright beneath the African sun.